Today, I want to talk about painting as a metaphor and how we can use it in our lives to get through things. So let's get started. We all have things that happen in life that are bigger than we think we can handle. And although everything is figure outable, sometimes really big things are hard to figure out. And so you have to figure them out piece by piece. There's some things going on in my life, nothing to be concerned about, but sometimes you find that your art informs you about what you need to paint. Normally, I would paint a peony today. I am not in the mood to paint a peony. There's some serious heavy lifting to do around here. And one way to do heavy lifting is to bring in the heavy machinery. Now, I'm not actually going to break ground or build anything here, but what it did was it informed me that in order to sort of harness the inner strength that I have, that I needed to paint something that sort of made me feel as if I could do whatever's coming along or what's coming down the path. And so that brought me to the picture of a bulldozer. The bulldozer is probably from the morgue file or from Pixabay. You know, it's not a picture that I took, but it's free for anybody who wants to use it. And the reason that I wanted to do it today was, like I said, completely psychological reasons. But the other reason for doing it is because when you have something as complicated and complex as this big machine, you have to break it down into its smaller parts. Same way as I do when I have a big problem to solve. So it's a metaphor in so many ways. So the first thing that I do is put in my darkest darks. So in order to do that, I bought a small brush. People have been suggesting I buy a small brush. I've been resisting, but I did buy a small brush. This is a number 8 flat. So that's now officially the smallest brush I own and probably will ever own. But anyway, I'm using a number 8 flat. It's a Kolinsky red sable. And um, and so I put in all the darkest darks using a triad. And my favorite triad, of course, is ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and burnt sienna. Then, because things are complicated and I don't use any masking fluid or whiteout, I had to put in what's going to be remain white. And I did that with some Naples yellow. Now I need to dry everything. So I'm staying completely focused at this point because I know I have my darks and I have my lights. Now everything else that's left in terms of the machine is a mid-tone. Now I'm going to be using that value finder from time to time because there is a lot of gray in that yellow bulldozer. And I need to match that gray to the actual mid-tone that it is. And in order to do that, I have to mix my grays. So I'm doing that. I mix my grays from colors that I've already used on the palette. Naples yellow, probably, again, yeah, Naples yellow, a little bit of that blue, ultramarine blue. Something else had to go in there in order for it to read gray, probably a little bit of red, probably a little bit of alizarin crimson. Anyway, like I've said before, you decide. I like to work from a limited palette, so although there'll be a lot of colors used in this painting, they're mostly made from at least 3 or 4 colors that I pick at the very beginning, starting always with the primaries, a red, a yellow, and a blue. And I mix all my neutrals from that and all my other mixes from that rather than having tons and tons of paint tubes. I just think it makes the colors go together better overall in a painting. Let's see what's that. Okay, so we're still working. So now I am indeed working on midtones, but also noticing that there's some areas of dark that I didn't account for. Again, this is a pretty complicated piece of shape in front of me. There's a lot to consider, but I am using the value finder. And the reason that there are only a few dabs that you see there are I only made dabs of things that I wasn't sure about, ones that I knew that I needed to check to see if they were midtones and check to see if something was too dark. My goal here, once I put in my darks, my goal always is never to put anything as dark in as what I originally put in. Now, the side of the bulldozer that's in shade has to be darker yellow than what's in the sun. So that has to be considered too. So, like I said, there's a lot to consider, but just like any problem that's ahead of you, you have to break it down into its tiniest parts. And I find so much relaxation in that I'm just able to look at one particular part and say to myself, what's that color? What's that shape? How does it relate to what you've already put in? How are you going to show it? And I just, that's my happy place. That's my Disneyland. When I'm there, nothing else exists. There's no bad news in the stock market. There's no coronavirus, which I really hope when I look back at this video a year from now that I can laugh about that, both those things. But the world is pretty overwhelming right now, and it's going to take heavy machinery of the mind in order to stay clear about what's important and what really matters. So that is so that this is just a complete metaphor for what we all do every day. Only right now it seems like there's more heavy lifting than ever. So the bulldozer is I don't it's not called a bulldozer. I forget what it's called. You know, all these machines have different names, and I can never remember what the different ones are. So, oh, the dogs are going to start barking. Oh, so now, okay, so now, once I am sure about the shapes that I put in for the bulldozer, then I can get busy on the essential shapes that are behind it and that are around it. But I'm going to simplify all that. So now that the dogs are barking incessantly, I'll probably put on some music to finish this painting. Remember to keep the whites of your paper white, your paints wet, mask for value, mix for color. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. All right, bye-bye.
Popples sway in the distance, cries a train so far away it sounds like a toy shining a gold on one rail, races the heart of a waiting boy. And on that train, and in my mind, I can go back to the first time. A willing heart, no history, and I've given you no reason yet to lie to me, to lie to me. I awake to the memory of your face in my hands, close my eyes and go home to the ache that's always been. Now looking down from this clearing where the world and time stand still, golden thread winds through the valley, the setting sun riding the rail, and on that train and in my mind rides a chance for one last first time. This willing heart